Want to be a friend of befm 부산영어방송? You can chat with befm through our Kakao Talk service. You can share your messages and photos through Kakao Talk, and you can easily become BFM's Kakao friend by searching BFM through the Find a Friend option. Come share and chat with us at BFM anytime, anywhere for free. Don't forget to add BFM 부산영어방송 to your Kakao friends list.
Man, I haven't got a chance. I call him.
보이스피싱 전화 올 땐 전화 끊고 확인하기. 택배 주소 오류 사기. 인터넷 주소 클릭한대.
늘 의심하고 꼭 전화 끊고 또 확인하고
보이스피싱에 눈을 뜨며
예방책이 보입니다.
공익광고협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Welcome back, everybody, to real life, reality after the long weekend. By the way, how was your holiday? And if you spent time with your extended family, you probably felt a bit of a generational gap, a difference with those who might have been maybe older or younger than you. The telltale sign of a young person is that their nose is often buried, probably not in a book. These days, it's their phone. Also, we're probably guilty of this too, though. But how damaging is this to our mental health and general lifestyle is the big question. So let's focus on conscious smartphone usage as we go back to real life after this long 4-day break. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave of Busan on Tuesday, February 13th on befm 부산영어방송. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. And I hope you had a great long weekend. By the way, what did you do? I mean, did you see family this weekend? Or maybe you're one of the lucky ones, you were alone. I'm just kidding. No, maybe there were moments of generational differences that you felt. Like maybe some of you felt really old, or vice versa. Maybe you felt kind of like, ooh, why is everybody so much older than I am? So one big generational difference is smartphone usage. 19-year-olds these days spend far more time on social media compared to those 10 years ago. This is a given, but they also spend far less time reading books. This is according to the Korean Education Development Institute, which analyzed 19-year-olds from 2011 and also 2021. Although this may surprise you, in 2011, social media platforms like Facebook, they actually had been in operation. They've been running for 7 years at that time. And then we look at 2021. 9 out of 10 people were on social media, whereas that figure was just about half a decade ago. So this, led to a considerable decline in the rate of 19-year-olds who read books that were not related to school or, let's say excluding comic books and magazines. 38% of young people didn't read a single book a month. And experts say that this lack of reading was prominent across all generations, especially as smartphones became widespread in the early 2010s. So there are benefits of social media, but there are also great benefits that may be gleaned from reading. So hopefully, we can strike that good balance, right? It's not just about work-life balance. It's a balance in what we're consuming, not just through social media. Hopefully we're reading some books, getting our news not from the NotTube sources all the time. Anyhow, it is time for a text topic today, so tell me all about your weekend, whether that was spent celebrating the Lunar New Year, or maybe if you're, abroad, And or maybe even in Korea. Maybe you watched the Super Bowl or anything else that you did over the weekend. 자, 여러분 설 연휴 어떠셨나요? 어떻게 보냈어요? 뭐 하셨나요? 누구랑 보냈어요? And 연휴 주말 뭐 드셨는지. What did you consume? What did you eat? Because we're interested in everything that you have done over the weekend. So let us know. And here are the ways you can get in touch with me through our live stream live chat on YouTube. Also pound 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also check in with me for free through our Kakao Talk channel. Just type in befm or 부산영어방송. Also our app comment board as well. So it is, oh, I almost said Monday. It's actually Tuesday. Our daily lineup looks like this. We have Andrew with Sports Insider, also Melissa with The Health. Our special interview today, we're going to focus on something that is happening here domestically. I'm talking about the resurgence of measles. Measles is known as 홍역 here in Korea, and it was thought to be eradicated, but it has resurfaced globally, including here domestically. So we're going to find out what exactly is going on with our medical expert. That's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:05, and these are today's headlines. Presidential office calls for doctors restrained in taking group action against quota hike. The office of President Yoon Suk-yeol said yesterday that the government's decision to increase the medical school quota is irreversible, denouncing doctors' threats of collective action as unjustifiable. North Korea announced the development of new controllable shells for multi-rocket launcher. North Korea said yesterday it has newly developed controllable shells for a multiple rocket launcher and its ballistic control system as part of its push to expand its weapons arsenal. Bitcoin hits $50,000 level for first time in more than 2 years. Bitcoin hit the $50,000 level for the first time in more than 2 years on Monday local time, as the world's largest cryptocurrency was buoyed by expectations of interest rate cuts later this year and last month's regulatory nod for U.S. exchange-traded funds designed to track its price. Ex-industry minister named vice chair of Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy. President Yoon Suk-yeol appointed former industry minister Chu Hyung-hwan as vice chairman of the Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy, Presidential Chief of Staff Lee Kwan-sup said yesterday. Israeli forces rescued 2 hostages in dramatic Gaza raid that killed at least 67 Palestinians. Israeli forces rescued 2 hostages early Monday local time, storming a heavily guarded apartment in a densely packed town in the Gaza Strip as airstrikes carried out to cover the raid killed more than 60 Palestinians, including women and children. These are today's headlines. It is now time to check in with our writer, Dawan. She's in the studio. Let's say hi to her first. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good Lunar New Year weekend.
I did. Thank
Yes.
you.
What did you do? I'm curious.
So the day before Seoul was my mom's 60th birthday, which is
Ooh,
Hanukkah, which is a big event in Korea.
Yes.
So we had a little celebration with cake, a little bit of money, and a birthday card.
Oh, that's so sweet. So happy birthday to your mom. All right, first, let's dive into our update. We're going to talk about the state of top earners here in Busan.
Yes, the top 0.1% of income earners in Busan made an average of 2.5 billion won per year. This not only includes their wages but also other sources of income, and most of these top wage earners were business owners and high-earning professionals. This figure of 2.5 billion won was the second highest in the country, with the first in Seoul. But this also means that the wage gap in Busan was also the second highest in the country. In Busan, the top 20% earned 114 million won, while the lowest 20% earned 2.4 million won per year. The gap between these two groups were 46.4 times.
I see. Well, thanks for letting us know about the top earners in our city. Now there's been a report saying that the water quality level for Busan's beaches is quite serious.
Yes, last year there were 21 cases where the water quality level in Busan's 7 beaches did not meet the standard. This is according to Busan City's Councilman Lee Jong-hwan. The figure of 21 is quadruple the number from the previous year. What's more, local governments in charge of these beaches were not transparent about these issues. Councilman Lee said that despite having been reported on these issues, Suyong and Haeundae District did not take any steps to rectify this, nor did they inform the visitors of this. This is actually against the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries policy, which says that municipal government must figure out the cause of the pollution and inform the visitors about the water quality status.
Well, what was the cause behind such high pollution levels? Do we know?
So according to the Busan Metropolitan City Institute for Health and Environment, it is due to heavy rainfall from last year. Because it rained more frequently and heavily last year, more of the debris and pollutant from land were swept into the oceans. Councilman Lee's office calls for further research to pin down the exact cost.
I see. Well, not good to hear about, definitely. I hope they can figure out why. All right, next, a lot of our listeners or waivers out there probably were at Busan Station at one point this past weekend, but apparently Busan Station has a reputation for the highest number of crimes occurring out of all stations. This is definitely not good.
Yes, this is unfortunate, but according to Special Railway Judicial Police, Busan City had the highest number of crimes in the last 5 years. According to police data, there have been over 1,200 crimes committed inside train station and on trains, with a significant uptick reported last year and in 2022. A third of these cases were crimes of sexual nature, including illegal filming and sexual assault or harassment, and this was followed by assault and theft. In the last 5 years, there have been over 360 cases reported out of Busan Station, followed by Suwon Station and Seoul Station. This is connected to the fact that the highest number of crimes were reported on the Gyeongbu line, which also has most passengers. 92% of suspects in these crimes were apprehended.
Well, I'm glad that they were apprehended, but nonetheless, to hear that Busan Station has that reputation, not a good thing. All right. Lastly, the Lunar New Year holiday is over, but another major traditional holiday is just around the corner.
Yes, that would be the first full moon of the year, called 정월대보름 in Korean. Seoul District is holding a national kite flight festival on February 24th to celebrate. The festival takes place from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Dadepo Beach, and the opening ceremony takes place at 2 p.m. with traditional folk music and performances. Also, there will be kites on display from around the world, and participants will be able to make their own kites as well. And this is a meaningful festival, as our ancestors used to make kites and fly them to ward off evil spirits and wish for good luck in the new year.
I see. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, right? Hopefully we can participate in that. Thank you for the updates, Nawan. Now, back to you, our waivers out there. It's all about your weekend. 소소하게 이야기 나눠볼 건데요. What did you do during the weekend, whether it was watching the Super Bowl, celebrating the Lunar New Year? Did you give out lots of 세뱃돈, or are you still on the receiving end? Were you one of the lucky ones still getting 세뱃돈? 여러분, 설 연휴 어떠셨는지 네, 지금 이야기 나눠보고 있습니다. And I have to say, I'm so happy to see all of you checking back in with me between Leslie, Waver, Yunjung Waver, and Taejin Club. You've been missing for a while, but now we know why. 12 days enjoying 보홀 여행. Oh, so he had a really good time with lots of experiences for his kitties. Well, welcome back. It's great to have you back. All right, here is Nawan with the traffic and weather.
Good morning, everyone. Here's the traffic and weather for this hour. The roads are mostly clear this morning with congestion on Myeongnunlo from Gyodae intersection to Dongnae intersection. It is moving slow on Nakdongnamlo from Hadan intersection to Hagwon Bridge. Likewise, it is a little bit backed up on Luno Samsungdaero from Myeongho intersection to Shino Bridge. So please drive safe. Switching over to the weather, current temperatures are averaging 8 degrees Celsius in Busan, and afternoon highs will go up to a warm 17 degrees. Skies are overcast in the morning, however, the sun will peek out later in the afternoon. And regarding the air quality, the ultra-fine dust levels will be bad nationwide, but it will drop to normal for Gyeongsang and Jeolla province in the afternoon. So don't forget your mask when heading out. That's all for now. See you in the second hour.
Check this out.
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Everybody, wait a minute.
This is Morning Wave.
Morning Wave.
You are listening to
Morning Wave.
Morning Wave in Busan.
What show is this?
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Here we go. Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for Haley and News Digest. Welcome back, Haley.
Good morning.
Hey, so before we ask Taejin Weaver, how did you get 12 days off?
Yeah,
I'm really
where do
curious,
you
by the
work?
way.
Are they looking for English speakers? I can translate, interpret. I mean,
I can work for you.
Yeah.
12 days is pretty good, right? I mean, seriously. Well,
It's
I'm not for
amazing.
you, but for whatever company you work at. So what did you do? What did you eat? Who did you spend it with?
oh, so much. It was a really good balance of family, friends, and solo time because that's so
Oh.
necessary.
I didn't get any of that, but
So
yeah, go ahead.
necessary. I think we went to like 3 different cities. I went to Gyeongju with my family yesterday
Okay.
for just, I don't know, we just go there just to go.
Just
to like
because it's
take
so
a
beautiful.
walk
Yeah.
and, whatever. And we went to Bulguksa. Gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
And then I took my friend, I taught my friend how to drive. She like kind of knows. She's had what we Koreans
You didn't
call.
kill her?
No. She
Okay.
didn't kill me. She was at the wheel. She was, yeah. So she got her license years ago.
Okay.
But it's been the 장롱 면허, the closeted license, the inactive. It's like it's just in your closet in your
네.
wallet. So yeah, she drove. Well, I had her drive to 거제도 because the bridges are free. And Koje Bridge, Koga Bridge is expensive.
Yeah.
It's 10,000 one way. So we're like, well, let's take advantage of that and go. So yeah, we went. We had some tough moments. She still needs to learn how to stay inside the lane and not
no.
veer too much onto the right. I'm like, okay, there's the wall and there's me. So if you go too much, I'm gonna be a part of that wall. So
Were you
let's
like
not.
white knuckling it like the whole time? Like,
Oh, I reached over at a couple of points, and, like took the wheel. And I was like, you can't.
you're
like,
brave.
You can't do that.
You're so brave.
Yeah.
Good friend. Well, thanks for sharing your very
My adventures.
yes
Yes.
of the weekend. Well, we got to talk about the news about the latest in the medical school quota expansion situation. This is like an ongoing topic. It's one of the top headlines right now.
And this is going to be the top news coming back from the holidays because major action will begin now. So the Korea Interns and Residents Association, KIRA, held a late night temporary General Assembly online that began last night well into early morning. So this is a major group that we're looking at in terms of how the government's medical school quota expansion may or may not be successful.
Right.
Because they were responsible for the strike back in 2020 that led to then government pulling back on its measures. So we haven't heard back from them in terms of any official statements or any disclosure from meeting minutes. However, given what the group's leadership said previously, they likely had discussed joint action, including using their vacations and even more drastic measures to boycott the government's policies. So this time, however, the government has preemptively announced strict legal responses. So the residents likely answered or discuss how to strike back and answer to these measures as well. So their seniors, the Korea Medical Association, the KMA, they already established an emergency response committee, and they say their full response will start after the holidays. So now their rallies are scheduled throughout the country this coming Thursday.
Yes. So that is what's going on in terms of that side. But what's the government's stance or situation on this?
Right. So prior to the holidays or in the beginning, the health minister set off to convince the residents why the policy is justified and necessary. So he posted a letter on the ministry's official social media expressing his gratitude and respect for the residents, but that these are not enough to sustain the country's medical system. So while he understands the concerns and the opposition, the reason for the expansion is to solve the age-old problems on the scene with public health and improve the system whereby the residents cannot focus on learning because they're so overburdened with work. Also, the ministry is going to run a damages reporting center for any possible patient fallouts from a potential strike or collective action. And finally, the presidential office said that they're at a point of no return and that any collective action from the doctors has no cause.
I see. So those are kind of the two major stances right now as we speak. All right. Next, third parties, or the smaller political parties, they made kind of a key announcement at the beginning of the holiday, right?
Right. So going back a few days, so 4 days ago, the key was what kind of political discourse would dominate the family's dinner table. So 4 smaller political parties decided to join forces ahead of the general elections under the name of the Reform Party, and that announcement was made at the very beginning, the first day of the holidays. So these 4 parties are the Reform Party, the New Future Party, the New Choice Party, and the Principle and Common Sense Party.
Yes.
And the party's now new official name is the Reform Party, and there's joint leadership by Lee Nak-yeon and Lee Jun-seok. So each of the 4 parties will nominate their respective members for the senior council, but Lee Nak-yeon will head the election committee. And in their declaration announcement, they said that they need to adjudge the 2 major parties and launch a new political power. And they also stated that there's no future in the country, and thus they needed to gather their forces together.
Okay.
And if you're just looking at even the 2 leaders, Lee Nak-yeon and Lee Jun-seok, they are at the opposite sides of the political spectrum. Both were chair people of the 2 major political parties, so naturally it took quite a bit of work for them to join forces together. They actually worked until the very night before over the party's new name and the leadership structure, and they signed the agreement on the afternoon of the announcement, so just the day of the announcement.
Sure.
And Lee Nak-yeon is said to have compromised quite a bit on the name for the sake of the greater good, as they used the same name, the Reform Party, that Lee Jun-seok has formed. And in terms of their official activities, they will hold an official launching ceremony after the holidays and make announcements on whether the joint leaders, the 2 E's, will run, and that will come soon as well.
Right. I think a lot of people are wondering, though, how will this affect the general elections?
Right. So this general election will be the election of the third parties or third party at this point. So the target is to drive voters away from the current 2-party system, targeting moderates and undecided voters. So currently, multiple opinion polls show that about 20% of the voters are consistently undecided in the country. So the new Reform Party's calculation is that they will be able to, or they want to get about 30% of the votes, 20% undecided, plus their supporters as well. However, the 4 parties are so fundamentally different in their stance, and they will have to really chemically meld their pledges together. So they actually held their first meeting on Sunday and announced that they will not create a satellite party for the proportional representation ballot. So these are symbolic of large parties cutting corners, and they will not basically stoop to that level.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see, of course. And we'll continue to report on that front. Speaking of politics and politicians, let's talk about newly elected lawmakers who will apparently now get paid over 150 million won. And so this quite high of a salary is citing some controversy.
Right. So your salary is probably a sensitive issue. Of course, have you gone through your New Year's kind of salary negotiations? Bonuses were also a major thing before the holidays.
Yes.
So According to reports, the annual salary for lawmakers, so they will get paid this much starting in the next General Assembly, has been set at 157 million won. That's 1억 5,700만 원. That's a 1.7% increase from last year. So year after year, Parliament famously not well known for coming to agreements, except for some issues, including their own raises, despite disagreeing on many other matters, including the livelihoods of the people and the economy. So this has led to controversy, including from the People Power Party's de facto leader, Han Dong-un, proposing lowering the lawmaker's salary to about the same level as the national median salary.
So we here in Korea, we might have kind of raised our eyebrows at the 1억 5,700?
Right.
Right. But how are the lawmakers here in Korea's salaries determined, and how does those figures here compare to other major nations?
Right, and it's a little difficult to just compare sheer numbers because inflation, cost of living, but the system. Lawmakers' salaries are determined under the rules on parliamentary members, which set the rate of increase for annual salaries within the rate of increase for other government workers.
Okay.
So that means this year, government workers, public servants got a 2.5% increase in their pay. So the lawmakers couldn't exceed that, so their pay was capped at 1.7% increase.
Got it.
But still, not many government workers get paid 157 million won. They don't have six-figure salaries. So it's the system that the lawmakers can pass their own raises. That's a little iffy because what worker can? No one.
Like, can we vote on our pay raise?
Yeah, so exactly. So that's very non-commonsensical.
Yes.
So for example, in the UK, they have a similar cap on MPs, their lawmakers. But starting about 13 years ago, they established an independent parliamentary standards authority that determines the rate of increase. So lawmakers cannot vote on their own raises.
Yes.
Similarly in the US as well, which has a system that sets the rate of increase for lawmakers. But Congress has actually voluntarily frozen their wages since 2009.
Wow.
So that's an example to potentially look into. So overall, experts say that South Korean lawmakers' salary is quite high. It's actually quadruple the per capita gross domestic production, so GDP. So that's something to consider.
Oh, I like that idea of having like a separate independent kind of committee.
Right. So that makes more sense compared to even private companies. Right.
However, if we don't make the laws nor the rules, so...
And, the lawmakers make the laws, so we'll see if they want to put restraints on their own pay.
All right. Well, thanks for going over all the top news items. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
Well, we're ready for our first song for today. Here it is, Future Looks Good by One Republic.
Staring at this empty room. Looked at 1,000 different pictures that your mother took of you. You see, I had this crazy dream last night. This man, he talked to me. He told me everything that's good and bad about my history. But he said that you are the future. He said that you are the future. And the future looks good. The future looks good. Oh, call me anytime, every time you're losing it. And tell me anyone and everyone that makes you feel like shit. Because you know everybody else can lie. But honey, I won't see you with a broken set of eyes. And I swear that you are the future. I say you are the future. And the future looks good. Oh, yeah. The future looks good. Oh, staring at this empty room. Looked at 1,000 different pictures that your mother took of you.
Welcome back, everybody. It is now 7:29 on this Tuesday morning. Hey, the good news is it's kind of not the traditional week, so we're beginning on a Tuesday, right? Anyhow, we are talking about social media usage, which I'm sure a lot of you use during the long holiday weekend. And, you know, basically, the thing is, it can really negatively impact us, right? So let's look at some of the impact, especially for children. According to a study published in the Korea Institute for Health and Social Affairs, the more an elementary school age students spent on social media, the worse their body image was. Interesting, right? What exactly is body image? It refers to one's awareness, assessment, and attitude about their body and just overall appearance. There was also a significant pattern on such body image issues before and after the pandemic. So let's look at before the pandemic. These associations between social media usage and body image was basically seen mostly in girls. This is before COVID. But as boys spent less time being physically active during the pandemic and spent more time on social media, this began becoming more apparent in boys as well after the pandemic. So the paper explained that the practice of posting, sharing, and liking all attributed to body image issues and justified idealizing others' appearances and comparing them to your own. You know, earlier this month, social media executives were grilled in front of the U.S. Senate about the harms of their respective platforms on teenagers. And I think this is really worth noting for all families. You know, assuming that you have a young person in your household, or even if you have a niece or nephew, I think we should be really mindful of comments that we as adults make inadvertently without really consciously being aware of like commenting on someone's body, whether it's a celebrity or anybody else saying, oh, you know, she's really thin, or oh my gosh, she looks so good. Things like that. It really does impact our young people's minds. And now for our text topic, very simple. Today, it's all about how your long weekend was. What did you do? Who did you spend it with? Maybe you caught the Super Bowl. I don't know. I think Andrew, in a little bit, he's going to get into that. But, you know, were you rooting for a particular team or anything else you did? And, like, definitely tell me about everything you ate, saw, experienced. Did you get sebeton? All right. That's what we're talking about. And looking at some of your responses, I see the obligatory, I had tteokguk. I see a lot of that. And apparently Leslie Waver, all the way in Colorado, had tteokguk as well, and she planned for her trip next month. And she, of course, watched the Super Bowl. This is so sweet. Any requests for American treats I can bring you all next month? That's so sweet. It's the thought that counts. I have a whole list, but my producer said, no, I can't say. So, but she's going to poke me with her long pen if I say Flaming Hot Cheetos. Yes. Junwon Waver, I see you as well. He simply wrote, I ate. one more year. You know, the proverbial enjoy your bowl of tteokguk and you basically age a year, right? So yeah, we also had tteok mandukguk, but I made the homemade mandu, so that was pretty good. So we enjoyed that, and we had just lots of games galore because there's a certain member of my family who is ultra competitive, even more so than I am. She created all the games, like 인물 quiz, and I felt like I was like on a variety show. Like it was like so professional. She put it, cast it onto the big screen TV, and it was just like, it was intense. There was a lot of shouting and screaming and a little bit of crying going on because, yeah, somebody lost. All right, I'll be back with our hot clip in just a moment. Well, while some people were enjoying the Super Bowl this past Sunday local time in the States, there was a kind of a major incident in Texas. I don't know if you know a pastor by the name of Joel Osteen, but he's a very popular, pastor, TV or televangelist, and he's written some best-selling books as well. But there was a shooting at the church he leads. So let's listen to the clip from ABC News.
We begin tonight with the shots fired during a church service in Houston, Texas. The shooter opening fire at Pastor Joel Osteen's megachurch, terrified parishioners running for safety. Authorities say the Spanish-language service was about to start when the chaos erupted, a heavy police presence surrounding the church. Tonight, the sheriff saying that a young child was shot. And the details just coming in, the police chief saying just moments ago that a woman with a rifle was killed by two off-duty officers.
Tonight, the sound of gunshots echoing through Joel Osteen's Houston megachurch, Lakewood.
We're shooting at Lakewood. 2 people down. We need an ambulance.
Happening just as an afternoon Spanish service was set to start with hundreds of parishioners in attendance.
I was just walking up the stairs, and when I got on the top, they started shooting. I don't know, I just heard, but it was like more than 10 shots.
Witnesses recounting the moment shots rang out.
We were sitting there with my mom, and they started shooting, and we went scared, and then we went to the chairs to try to protect us, and then everybody was crazy, running and walking all the way.
Organized chaos outside the church with dozens of first responders on scene, parents reuniting with their children as investigators work to figure out exactly what happened inside.
I saw this lady running. She almost fell down the steps, and I told her, hey, you dropped something. She said something in Spanish I couldn't understand, and I saw someone else running down the steps, and that's when I heard the 2 gunshots. I was going towards my family, and I heard another gunshot coming closer, so I was like, I can't go up there.
Lakewood Church confirming online there was a shooting and asking users, please pray for Lakewood and our community.
We're going to keep going strong and bringing hope to the world.
Rachel, we now know the shooter was taken down and is no longer a threat, but during that takedown, we also know a young child was shot and is now in critical condition. Also, another man was shot in the leg, and he is being treated at a local hospital for that wound.
So as you heard in the clip, that unfortunate happening, that shooting at this megachurch, and people might be wondering, who is this Joel Osteen? Well, he's the person behind, you might have seen the book. It was a bestseller for a long time, The Purpose-Driven Life, and hence it popped up on my feed. It seems that the boy, as far as we know, as of broadcast time, he is hospitalized. He was in critical condition when I last checked. And there was that other man in his 50s also shot in the leg. In terms of the motive, they're just not sure. It's too early on in the investigation, so we will definitely keep you posted on that. This was your hot clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
Mahomes flings it. It's there! Hardman! Jackpot! Kansas City!
Patrick, back-to-back Super Bowls for the first time in 20 years. 3 in 5 years. I can see it
That
with your
theme song.
celebration.
Yeah, it's this Monday Night Football from Fox.
Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that in forever.
Yeah.
So by the way, this is Sports Insider if you haven't figured out. This is Andrew. How are you?
And that's Patrick Mahomes celebrating the Super Bowl victory yesterday.
Yes.
So yeah, no, that was a clip from I mashed a couple things up there, but I was from the official NFL site and then also from Fox Sports. But yeah, that I don't want to when we use the word trigger, it usually results in like a bad thing. But whenever that song comes on, I feel like
our eyes kind of lit up. We're like,
it triggers you in a different way. You're like, or it gets you going, I guess, or motivates you. But yeah, so that was for the Super Bowl yesterday. You were talking about snacks and possibly. Somebody bringing snacks to Korea?
What do you want?
Yeah, no, I don't think your suitcase is big enough. That's for sure. It's
we
all
have
right.
a list. We're totally kidding.
Yeah.
Just come safely one piece less.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yes.
We're just playing with you. Yeah, so the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday became the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls in almost 20 years, downing the San Francisco 49ers. Sorry for any of our West Coast fans out
William.
there. Oh, yeah.
William's from San Francisco.
But not, what's funny with NFL and and all pro sports really, just because you're from that city doesn't actually mean you're that fan of the team. Maybe William is, but I know friends of mine who are say in Toronto and someone asks them about Toronto Maple Leafs, like, I'm not originally from here. I'm from a different city. I don't cheer for them. I'm like, well, all right, fair enough. All right,
Andrew, what are ketchup chips?
You don't know ketchup chips?
No, because I'm asking because Leslie is asking you what's
ketchup chips. Well, I think you can now get them, and obviously you can get them now in the States, but for the longest time it was a Canadian thing. And people would be like, oh, they taste like ketchup. No, they don't really taste like ketchup. It's like, I don't know if it's like a spicy, but it's like, when you eat some kind of the nacho ones where your fingers are all covered and stuff at the end. When you're a kid and you're just lick the fingers.
Ew, yeah.
Ketchup chips are the exact same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely. So that's pretty. Thank you for saying that. Actually, it made me smile.
Okay.
So this was in overtime, led by quarterback Patrick Mahomes, won their Super Bowl for the third time in the past 5 seasons. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes again here voted MVP in 3 of his Super Bowl victories, and it's just it's unbelievable when you think throughout it. It almost has. People thinking again like Tom Brady and the Pats when it was just all right, the game's over.
Yes.
No, not at all.
Right.
Wait until the very last second of, overtime or the first quarter overtime to bring it back. And then, it was a 60 yards rushing, including a 19-yard scramble on the final drive to get this final touchdown.
Right. And, with sports, the word dynasty is kind of out there, but it's not thrown around lightly.
Sure.
Right. But are the Chiefs in that conversation? The Patriots were a while.
Definitely.
But we have what's her name's
when you
boyfriend?
get Taylor Swift on board, it's a dynasty for sure.
What's her name?
I was gonna say
Yes.
I was gonna call it instead of Travis Kelce, Travis Swift. With him, Mahomes, Coach Andy Reid. And there's quite a few other ones that are going to be sticking around for a long time. It just puts them right up on that upper echelon, on that pedestal with the sport's greatest. And I would say that the modern era Kansas City Chiefs are among the greats of the game with, like I said, 3 titles in the last 5 seasons and back-to-back championships. It's hard not to throw them in the mix.
Right.
Because it's been a while since we've seen a team dominate like this. Obviously, the New England Patriots were there with Tom Brady, like I said, but I don't see anybody stopping them as of late, unless I don't know if many people saw the Travis Kelce and his coach Andy Reid. There was that.
What was going on?
I don't know. He was asking where Justin Bieber was, and it was Usher up there. I'm not really sure, but yeah, no. A lot of people were angry about that because you are a role model for young children as well, and a lot of it's the biggest stage of the sport. So I don't know. We'll see.
There's a lot of testosterone coursing through the veins of a lot of people down there.
And they won
on the field.
If they wouldn't have won I think we'd be hearing a lot more
It'd
about
be a bigger issue.
Yeah, but they won.
I would
so.
have that as our hot clip. But
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move away from American football and move to the other one, a.k.a. soccer, as we call it. And Son Heung-min made his return. I have to say, I went to bed. I didn't watch it live.
Yes.
But I did catch the highlights like the morning after. So give us a rundown.
And we're going to listen to a quick highlight of the the goal that he was involved with. So everyone, take a listen.
Richarlison, Brighton backpedaling, and Son is in his kind of area. Johnson! Brighton are broken down right at the end. A late winner.
I love that announcer. And by the way, like even when he came on as a substitute, by the way, he was subbed on because he had been playing in the Asian Cup.
Sure,
He was really, really tired, right? The kind of ovation he received, I thought was really heartwarming.
Yeah, you know, and also they were playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium,
Yes.
so I think most people expected that, and also I followed their social media feeds as well, and I was watching like through the week when he returned back, and you know the response he got from his teammates, you know, hugs and stuff like that.
Right.
It showed you that grown men can also be compassionate and you know
They're a cuddly bunch.
Definitely, they're a family for sure. So. I'll be like you didn't watch it, neither did I. I'll be honest. I was watching the Liverpool game. They were playing Burnley at the time with a 3-1 win, so that was okay for us as well.
Yes.
But I did watch the extended highlights, and I have to say that, you know, Spurs fans, they're obviously elated to have Sonny back. And you have to give it to Big Ange, their coach, for sticking to his guns and not changing how Spurs play, which is part of the reason why even non-Spurs fans are watching them now. All right. He didn't even, you know, think about changing it. They're so entertaining, and they got their goal because of that. You know, they just kept pushing forward.
Right.
The game itself,
it was lackluster.
I don't want to say they were lucky, but I think possibly a draw might have been the fair result. But
at the very, very end.
No, definitely for sure. So it was nice to see someone back doing what he does best and influencing a game at the highest level.
Yes.
Spurs are back in action this Saturday night when fellow South Korean Hwang Hee-chan and Wolves travel to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Kickoff is at midnight Saturday night.
So
Sunday morning.
The
midnight.
Korean is playing?
Yeah. Korea is playing. Yeah, for sure.
Hwang Hee-chan. All right.
Yeah.
One more story from the footballing world, but I hear this is regarding North Korea. North Korea?
Yeah, and you know, I've heard this, and I was a bit hesitant to report on it previously because anytime there's an announcement that involves the North Korean men's national team or any of the teams, it ends up getting switched around. Something ends up happening, things get canceled, so I was holding off on it. Now, apparently they will host a 2026 World Cup qualifying match in March. According to the website of the AFC, this was posted a few weeks ago now, the North Korean men's national team is set to host a second-round Asian Cup qualifier against Japan at Kim Il-sung Stadium in Pyongyang on March 26th. Now, the two teams will play against each other on the 21st at the National Stadium in Tokyo, but this was kind of like how this will come about, if it'll even happen, is if a couple weeks before, on the February 24th, they will host also a game against Japan, and this will be for the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Oh, goodness.
So if that goes as planned, I think this one will happen, but we'll have to wait and see about that.
All right. So we'll give you an update on that one.
Yes.
All right. Now let's go make a big splash in the pool.
I
at
love
the
writing things for you.
World Championships because, you know, I can like 살려. You know,
there you go.
Like, you know, yes.
All right, so South Korean swimmer Kim Woo-min has grabbed the gold medal in the men's 400-meter freestyle at the World Championships in Qatar. It seems like everything's in that area at this point in time.
Everything's in Qatar.
Yeah, so becoming the country's world swimming champion, first in 13 years.
Wow.
Kim won his gold with a personal best and holding off Elijah Winnington of Australia, who was the champion last year. Now, Kim is only the second South Korean swimmer to win a world title, joining two-time 400-meter freestyle champion Park Tae-won.
Wow, but he wasn't the only medalist in the pool, right?
Yeah, so divers Kim Soo-ji and Lee Jae-kyung. They also captured the bronze medal in the mixed 3-meter synchronized event.
I love the diving, but when it's synchronized, I always think to myself, how do they do it? It's
synchronized anything
is
just
insane.
I don't know, especially when they do it when it's mixed diving, because you're also thinking the height difference, but they make it work. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, we all love a feel-good story, especially for this segment. And I hear you have one that involves a 100-year-old athlete. So I'm excited to hear about this one.
So this is You're Never Too Old to Do What You Love, I think should be the title of this one. And sticking with diving, now if I mess up this individual's name, I do apologize. Tagi Askari is an Iranian who won a silver and a bronze medal at the first ever Asian Games back in 1951. Now, Askari has never lost his passion for the sport, he says. Fast forward to this year, 2024.
Yes.
And he had an exhibition dive at those World Championships we were just talking about.
Oh, my gosh.
At 100 years old.
Wow.
And he will compete in, I guess by this time it's just a week and a half or almost a week away, in the World Aquatic Masters Championships in Qatar. So this is amazing. He's going to compete. Now, people are thinking, well, how is it even possible? Well, the competition is open to any participants over 25 years of age. So he's getting in through that.
Okay.
But he said, for me, I have a love for diving since I was a teenager until today. I've always loved diving, and nothing has changed between 1951 and now except for my performance, which I thought was kind of amazing that, it's still holding true. And he says, he first got involved with this as a boy walking past a swimming pool in his neighborhood, and, other children were doing somersaults into the pool. And I think diving has come a long way from belly flops and somersaults to, I don't know, pikes and all these things you want to call them.
Right.
And one other thing that's happening in Busan, World Championships.
Are you talking
this
about
week's,
table tennis?
Yeah, this week. I thought I'd bring that up right at the end here for our listeners. If you're looking to get tickets, and I believe you can just buy passes at the door. Everything will be taking place for the World Table Tennis Championships right here in Busan at Bexco. I believe it starts on Friday morning. And I believe the opening match, there will be some Koreans involved. So if you want to get in there, I believe it starts at 10 a.m. on Friday.
All right.
And you'll have some involvement in this?
No more
involvement?
involvement.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was leading this in for a big
No ta-da.
Well, I'll be there. So if
Are you
anyone
going to be participating?
I'll be there with a media badge on, I think. So, I'll say hi.
Oh, you won't have the little paddle in your hand?
No. I'll be smacking some people, probably my children around with me.
Be quiet.
Hey, boys, get off the social media. I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you for a lively Sports Insider as usual, and we'll check in with you next week.
And Happy New Year to you and to everyone out there as well.
To you as well. Everybody, that was Andrew. All right, so let's get to some of your messages real quick because I want to see what you were doing over the weekend. Well, apparently Choi Yun-jung waiver. Oh, she says, I caught a cold and I have a sore throat and runny nose. Oh, no. I hope you're feeling better now, but she also writes that 친정이랑 시댁은 진짜 밥 먹고 다녀왔어요. So she visited her side of the family, her husband's side of the family. And by the way, how do you work that out? You married people out there. Do you flip a coin? Do you do rock, paper, scissors and kind of figure out whose side you go to first? I certainly hope you visited both sides if you had the opportunity to do so. 고수 waiver says 저는 처가댁에서 가서 밥 먹고 끝이었네요. Oh, so Kosu, who apparently is a guy, he says he went to his wife's side of the family and had a meal there, and that was about it. All right, so I'll read more of your messages coming up in a little bit. Here is 내 생의 봄날은 by Ken. So enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
나는 우두가를 내 세상처럼 누벼가며 두 주먹으로 또 하루를 겁없이 살아간다. 희망도 없고 꿈도 없이 사랑에 속고 돈에 울고 기막힌 세상 돌아보며 서러움에 눈물이 나. 비겁하다 욕하지마. 더러운 뒷골목을 헤매고 다녀도 내 상처를 끌어안은 그때가 곁에 있어 행복했다. 촛불처럼 짧은 사랑 내 한 몸 아낌없이 빠지려 했건만 저 하늘이 외면하는 그 순간 내 생에 본 날은 간다. 이 세상 어딜 둘러봐도 언제나 나는 혼자였고 시린 고독과 악수하며 왜 길을 걸어왔다. 멋진 남자로 살고 싶어 안간힘으로 버텼는데 막다른 길에 가로막혀 비참하게 부서졌다. 비겁하다 욕하지마. 더러운 뒷골목을 헤매고 다녀도 내 상처를 끌어안은 그대가 곁에 있어 행복했다. 촛불처럼 짧은 사랑 내 한 몸 아낌없이 빠지려 했거나 저 하늘이 외면하는 그 순간 내 생에 본 날은 간다. 욕하지마. 더러운 뒷골목을 헤매고 다녀도 내 상처를 끌어안은 그대가 곁에 있어 행복했다. 촛불처럼 짧은 사랑 내 한 몸 아낌없이 빠지려 했거나 저 하늘이 외면하는 그 순간 내 생에 본 날은 간다.
Your Bridge to the World. befm 부산영어방송.
안녕하세요. 박보검입니다. 누군가의 행동이 MBTI의 예측대로 흘러갈 때, 레시피대로 만든 음식이 가장 맛있을 때, 요즘엔 이렇게 말한다죠? 와, 이건 진짜 과학이다. 그런데 이 말은 어디서 시작된 걸까요?
침대는 과학입니다.
맞네. 침대는 과학이다. 에이스 침대.
새로워진 다우니. 첫날의 생활을 닮은 향기가 7일 내내 은은하게. 다우니 생활향기 컬렉션. 7일 내내 생활을 닮은 향기. 다우니 생활향기 컬렉션. 부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로 하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산. 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 bfm 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Want to be a friend of BFM 부산영어방송? You can chat with BFM through our Kakao Talk service. You can share your messages and photos through Kakao Talk, and you can easily become BFM's Kakao friend by searching BFM through the Find a Friend option. Come share and chat with us at BFM anytime, anywhere for free. Don't forget to add BFM 부산영어방송 to your Kakao friends list.
Man, I haven't got a chance. I call
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's morning!
And what a lovely morning!
Dynamic Busan.
Good morning!
Good morning!
Good morning!
Good morning. Hello, Chevy.
What show is this?
Hello.
Hello, baby.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everybody. Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now 8 o'clock. This is news highlights. Presidential office calls for doctors restraint in taking group action against quota hike. The office of President Yoon Suk-yeol said yesterday that the government's decision to increase the medical school quota is irreversible, denouncing doctors' threats of collective action as unjustifiable. A senior presidential official made the remark as doctors and the government were on a collision course over last week's decision to add 2,000 to the country's medical school enrollment quota next year, a sharp rise from the current 3,058 medical school seats. In protest of the decision, the Korea Medical Association said it will hold protest rallies nationwide on Thursday as the first collective action after the entity went into emergency mode. North Korea announces development of new weapons. North Korea said yesterday it has newly developed controllable shells for a multiple rocket launcher and its ballistic control system as part of its push to expand its weapons arsenal. The Academy of Defense Science conducted a test firing of 240mm caliber controllable multiple rocket launcher shells on Sunday in a bid to evaluate their accuracy and prove their advantages, according to the Korean Central News Agency. The latest test suggests a possible improvement in the North's 240mm multiple rocket launcher system, which is known to be deployed near the border to target the South's broader capital area. Bitcoin hits $50,000 level for first time in more than 2 years. Bitcoin hit the 50,000 level mark for the first time in more than 2 years as the world's largest cryptocurrency was buoyed by expectations of interest rate cuts later this year and last month's regulatory nod for U.S. exchange-traded funds designed to track its price. The cryptocurrency has risen 16.3% so far this year on Monday local time, touching its highest since December 27th, 2021. At 12:56 p.m., Bitcoin was up 4.96% on the day at $49,899, having oscillated around the 50,000 level mark. Meanwhile, analysts and financial market expectations both point to May as a potential start for rate cuts this year. Ex-industry minister named vice chair of Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy. President Yoon Suk-yeol appointed former industry minister Chu Hyung-hwan as vice chairman of the Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy, Presidential Chief of Staff Lee Kwan-seop said yesterday. With the recognition that society's survival is at stake, we are at a point to prepare for a turnaround by not only taking short-term measures, but also special measures at structural levels in the economy, society, and culture, Chu told reporters. Meanwhile, the country's total fertility rate fell to a fresh low of 0.78 in 2022, well below the replacement level of 2.1 needed to maintain the country's population at 51 million. Israeli forces rescued 2 hostages in dramatic Gaza raid that killed at least 67 Palestinians. Israeli forces rescued 2 hostages early Monday local time, storming a heavily guarded apartment in a densely packed town in the Gaza Strip as airstrikes carried out to cover the raid killed more than 60 Palestinians, including women and children. The rescue in Rafah briefly lifted the spirits of Israelis stricken by the plight of the dozens of hostages held by Hamas. However, the overnight bombardment brought devastation in Rafah, which is packed with some 1.4 million people, most of whom fled their homes elsewhere in Gaza to escape fighting. Israel has described Rafah as the last remaining Hamas stronghold in the territory and signaled that its ground offensive may soon target the town on the southern edge of the Gaza Strip. And these were your news highlights. It is time for Issue Wagu Wagu. We have Haley back.
Hello again.
Yes, indeed. Well, we're going to dive into our first topic, and this is regarding one Netflix drama which is kind of, raising some eyebrows for a character who looks like a famous politician. So what are we talking about?
This is, some may say, a non-issue, but this is a segment where we do talk about those non-serious issues that some people have turned into an issue. So various online communities have pointed out that a character from the Netflix series Killer Paradox, or 살인자랑 난감, resembles the DP chairman.
이재명?
Yes. And it's, if you can tell from the title, Killer Paradox, it's not really a show where you want to look like someone.
Okay.
So this show is based on a webtoon of the same name. It's about a detective who follows a killer. And in episode 7, there's a construction company CEO who's imprisoned who apparently resembles 이재명. So this is a very brief appearance. But the thing is, the character isn't in the original a webtoon, so they just added him in there.
Okay.
But they have a similar hairstyle and glasses. But you can also, and you can see the picture,
visuals,
the visual on our streaming, and you can judge for yourself.
Is that sushi?
It is sushi, so there are veiled references to his various scandals. That scene, because sushi chobap, it's the food that his wife allegedly ordered with the Gyeonggi provincial credit card scandal.
Yes.
There's also pointed out, if you can see the prisoner's number, these figures have connections to the Daejangdong scandal. It's like in terms of how many plots, property, and whatnot, and the figure that was allegedly embezzled. So, but then the thing is, you can also argue that you can kind of make connections to any number from just any number. So Netflix has stated that this is not true. It's not intended. Neither the number nor the character has anything to do with any real figure, but it is.
I mean, I'm staring at
it's out there.
The visual right now. I'm like, I guess you could
But then that can be so white-haired, middle-aged Asian guy with glasses.
What Korean guy doesn't have glasses
is
at that age, right?
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's what you want to see it as.
Right.
And some people chose to see it as him.
Okay. Well, let's turn to another situation where People Power Party leader Han Dong-hoon, he went to a community service event, and this has prompted a political debate.
Right. So it's also one of those things where we're equally addressing both issues. So he went to a charity event carrying coal briquettes to the lower income neighborhoods at a village in Seoul.
Okay.
And photos show Han Dong-un with his face covered in black soot from the yontan, from the briquettes. And there, Democratic Party's lawmaker Min Young-bae posted on his social media, is that charcoal makeup? Does he look like he's working? And raised accusations that why is your face covered in soot when your clothes are clean? So is this political show? Well, there's a reason for this. So PPP spokesperson said that if the lawmaker had looked up videos from the event, he wouldn't have posted, quote, such a blatant one-sided lie. Because in the video, there's a photo op at the beginning of the event, and the head of the coal briquette bank, the charity, put soot on Han's face just as kind of a joke, and you can see that photo on our streaming. So that's that.
Right.
But we should point out that this scandal, this hoopla around the photo, it did overshadow the realities of the people that they were trying to help.
Right.
That their conditions only really usually get a momentary spotlight, whether it's celebrities or politicians doing their kind of end of the year goodwill services or during election season.
Right.
So the village itself, we should note, is it's facing issues with redevelopment, aged housing, and compensations for development. So those are real issues that as elected representatives or people looking to be elected representatives should address, rather than, was that guy wearing cool makeup? Why are his clothes clean? So the lighter issues.
How about just not doing that? Photo ops.
Or that.
Photo ops of just not, of that.
Right.
Because, anyway, okay. Well, let's move to the U.S. U.S. politics. President Joe Biden received a very damning report, and that's not a bad word.
No.
It just means bad report, regarding investigation into his handling of classified documents.
So legally, this is good news. He's in the clear. They're not going to indict him. Politically, they might as well have put handcuffs on him, and I think it would have been less damaging. So Special Counsel Robert Hur announced the findings into Joe Biden's handling of classified documents that was following his vice presidency, so under Obama. So this is kind of similar to the case that former President Donald Trump is facing. However, unlike Trump, who's facing several criminal charges for his documents handling, Biden will not face criminal charges, but the reasoning was damaging. So the special counsel said that they're not going to put him to trial because the jury will find him as a, quote, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
That's
unquote.
I'm just saying.
That's so bad for him, for Biden.
Political, almost.
Dynamite,
you're
yeah.
Dead.
So
you're dead in the water, as they say.
Right, because it's a huge blow, because the biggest concern for the Biden campaign is that voters think Biden is too old.
Yep.
Right. So Hearst said that during his interview with the president, Biden has frequently been unable to recall details relevant to the investigation. Also, when his son Beau Biden died of cancer, or the year that he died of cancer, which is a personal question. And I'm like,
why is he being asked that?
That too.
Well, Biden jumped into damage control mode almost immediately, right?
Although, if you're his aide or if you're in his campaign, the damage control maybe did more damage. So he got very angry with the press who brought it up. And we're going to actually take a listen to the clip from this, from the audio, and let you be the judge of it. Let's take a listen.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. How dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, wasn't any of their business. My memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things.
So he bleeped it up, but that's two words that start with an H, and the last one was with a D. So, and once again, as you heard, he added the reason he didn't say anything about his son's death was because it was none of their business. And So there's that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So while we're on the topic of U.S. presidential elections, former President Donald Trump made some surprising comments, and we're not surprised at that.
Right.
Yeah.
But on Saturday during a rally, Trump said that he will encourage Russia to do, quote, whatever the H they want to any NATO member country that doesn't meet their spending guidelines.
Oh.
So basically, it's the same old story. Even when he was president, he has complained that the U.S. just spends way too much on NATO when other NATO countries don't. And so he has repeatedly complained and threatened to pull out of the organization or not come to their defense. NATO has a mutual agreement that countries will come to each other's defense.
Right.
So his comments, though, are extreme to let Russia do whatever. I mean, it is doing that to Ukraine, and we've seen fallouts from that. So the thing is, there's no spending minimum. There's no rule on how much a NATO country should spend. They have a target that each member country spend a minimum of 2% of their GDP on defense. And we should know that NATO countries did come to the America's support during the post 9/11 operation. So it does go both ways. And yeah, very Trump's brand of Americanism coming through again.
Absolutely. All right. Let's move on to another issue. The fallout after Lionel Messi, who didn't play at a friendly match in Hong Kong, apparently it's growing.
Right. So Messi was supposed to play at a Major League Soccer match for his team Inter Miami in Hong Kong. That was a sold-out game with 40,000 people at the stadium. However, because of a last-minute decision by the team's doctor for him to not play, he was benched during the entire time.
Right.
The thing is, you went to that match to see Messi, because as a layperson, I cannot name another player from the team. And that's my, shortcoming. But I think many other people felt that way as well.
Right.
Messi said that he wanted to play, and this was a shame. However, the match ended with fans booing and demanding refunds. Actually, organizers did wind up giving him partial refunds. However, controversy didn't stop because now there's the online platforms. And actually, it got even worse because just a few days later, he did play in a friendly match in Japan for 30 minutes. So, and Japan, China, or Hong Kong, it gets sensitive.
Yes.
So on Friday, the fallout got official. So Argentina, the national team was supposed to play a friendly match in March against Nigeria at the Hangzhou Olympic Sports Center, and then against the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire in Beijing. However, the Chinese sports authorities said that both games are canceled. Yeah, so the Hangzhou Sports Bureau said that the conditions for holding the event were immature, and they decided to cancel the event. Beijing was even more blatant and said that it currently has no plans to host relevant competitions in which Messi will participate. They named names.
Wow.
So this is a tough PR situation for Messi, and China being one of the world's most lucrative sports markets, it stings.
Billions of people.
Yeah.
Power. All right. Well, that does it for all the issues for issue Waglwagle, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right. Now we have Nawan in the studio. She's here for your updated traffic and weather.
Morning again, everyone. It is currently 8:16. Here's your update on traffic and weather. The traffic is slowly filling up with congestion on Namhae Expressway from Namsanjeong subway station to Nakdong Bridge. It is a little bit backed up on Jasonglo from Munhyun intersection to Pomil intersection. Likewise, it is moving slow on Jungangdaeru from Jungbu police station to Yeongju intersection. So please drive safe. Jumping over to the weather, current temperatures are averaging 8 degrees Celsius in Busan, and afternoon highs will go up to a warm 17 degrees. Skies are expected to be cloudy in the morning, but the sun will come out in the afternoon. The concentration of ultra-fine dust levels across the nation will be bad, but for Jeolla and Gyeongsang province, it is expected to drop to normal in the afternoon. So waivers, keep an eye on the levels in your area, and don't forget a mask when heading out. That's all for now. Let's hand it back to Catherine.
And now we're ready for the song Le Fascine by Camille.
Les rêves des amoureux sont comme le bon vin. Ils donnent de la joie ou bien du chagrin. Affaibli par la faim, je suis malheureux. Pas longtemps chemin, tout ce que je peux, car rien n'est gratuit dans la vie. L'espoir est un plat bien trop vite consommé. À sauter les repas, je suis habituée. Un voleur solitaire et triste à nourrir. Je suis amère, je ne peux réussir, car rien n'est gratuit dans la vie. Jamais on ne me dira que la course aux étoiles, ça n'est pas pour moi. Laissez-moi vous émerveiller et prendre mon envol. Nous allons enfin nous régaler. La fête va enfin commencer. Sortez les bouteilles, fini les ennuis. Je dresse la table de ma nouvelle vie. Je suis heureux à l'idée de ce nouveau destin. Une vie à me cacher et puis libre enfin le festin est sur mon chemin. Une vie à me cacher et puis libre enfin le festin est sur mon chemin.
Never goes wrong. Ratatouille. Love that piece from there. Today, for our text topic, we're talking about what you did over the weekend, whether it was lots of, spent time with relatives, friends, eating. That's so important during a major holiday. Or maybe you're, stateside or anywhere else and enjoyed the Super Bowl, which is a major event internationally as well. So somebody asked me, 오겹살 좋아, Waver said, Kat, did you have 떡국 and homemade food or anything like that? Well, I did. So if we have to, brag a little, me, I made my specialty. I have this recipe kind of down pat, meaning I've worked on it for so long that it's like I can do it with my eyes closed, but it turns out perfectly every time. Deep fried shrimp, jumbo shrimp, and onion rings, which my family, they love with lots of, they're really into the ketchup. But anyhow, with the shrimp, yes, I deveined all the shrimp. How do you say devein in Korean? Where you take out the poo from the shrimp, right? And the onion rings turned out really nice, brown, crispy, like the perfect color, golden, not brown, not burnt, golden. We also had gogi, of course. Just a little bit of 떡국, and just like I said, just games galore. That was kind of the theme for my weekend. And it seems like besides, I just see tons of 떡국, so I'm kind of curious. I know you had other food besides 떡국, so you gotta tell me what you had. And while you think about what else you did over the weekend, I'll be back with our special interview. You may have heard about this resurgence of measles, also known as 홍역 here in Korea. And the thing is that we thought that it was eradicated here in Korea. At least there was, an announcement years ago with all the advancements in vaccines and whatnot. But the alarming factor in its rapid transmission rate in Europe alone, there have been over 40,000 reported cases. But here in Busan, there are 2 confirmed cases of measles as of February 8th, and then we checked as of broadcast time. As of yesterday, still 2. So we have just obviously spent the Lunar New Year holiday, and we want to know what exactly is going on this front. So we have invited Dr. Alice Dunn, who's an internist at Seoul MizMedi Hospital. She's on the line with us. Let's say hi to her. Hi, happy Lunar New Year.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yes. So, the fact is, first of all, the fact that we're even talking about measles is a little puzzling to a lot of us. But what factors have contributed to the resurgence of measles lately? And do we know about the severity, whether it's here in Korea or abroad in Europe?
Well, the first thing to remember is that measles remains an endemic disease in about half of the world's WHO member states. So if we look globally, by no means is measles eradicated or quiet whatsoever. It's actually, I think it's by one country, the majority of countries in the world still have measles in circulation. Therefore, when there is a decrease in vaccination rates, when there's mass displacement as a result of war and conflicts, and an uptick in international travel, then regions can become vulnerable to the spread of measles. For example, the countries with the top 3 number of measles cases in 2023 were Yemen, India, and Ethiopia. And in these countries, there has been an 8 to 15-fold increase in the number of measles cases during 2023 compared to 2020. In the European Union, there was a 30-fold increase in measles cases in 2023 compared to the previous year. The WHO estimates that between 2020 and 2022, so during the pandemic, 61 million doses of measles-containing vaccine were either postponed or missed. And measles is a highly contagious viral disease, and we need a 94 to 95% vaccination rate for what we are now familiar with, that term herd immunity. The uptake rate for the second dose of measles-containing vaccine has dropped to 91% in Europe. And in the U.S., that rate is now 92%. In the U.K., where a fairly large measles outbreak has been ongoing since October 2023, only 84.5% of children have received both doses. And if we look specifically in London, the rate is even lower. It's 74%.
Wow.
So it's not surprising that 347 cases of measles have been logged in the UK during the last 3 months. In comparison, here in Korea, the measles vaccination rate remains fairly high. It's at 97.4%. But infants and young children will continue to be at risk due to increased travel, and the first dose of the measles vaccine is not given until 12 to 15 months of age. And so the infants, the youngest of the young, will still be vulnerable because they will not have received the measles vaccine.
Well, I'm very curious as to know, from what I understand, at least here in Korea and the U.S., isn't measles the vaccination with, if I'm trying to remember correctly, the MMR, the measles, mumps, rubella, they're kind of given as a batch together. Is that correct, Dr. Dunn?
Yes, absolutely. So the measles-containing vaccine that's administered here in Korea is part of the MMR, as you said, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. And it's given in a 2-part series. So the first dose is given between 12 and 15 months of age. And then the second dose is given between 4 and 6 years of age. So usually before a child starts school.
Right. And so that takes me to our next question isn't it mandatory, maybe at least in most countries, for kids to be properly vaccinated both times before they're allowed into, let's say, elementary school?
Yes, in most countries it is, but there are some people who request exemption. So a waiver due to, say, religious reasons or some other health reason. And then there's some children who are homeschooled, so who do not require the vaccination.
I see.
And so in the U.S., there's a community in a city called Rockland in New York, I believe, and primarily Orthodox Jewish people living there, and they, I guess, don't believe in vaccines for some reason, and so we've seen outbreaks of measles, we've seen outbreaks of polio, a lot of outbreaks of diseases that could be prevented through vaccination.
Well, I'm also wondering, like you say it's a two-part series. So if you get it at like 12 to 15 months and the second one when you're 4 to 6, when you become an adult, Dr. Tan, does that mean that the immunity kind of goes down, that it wanes, or do we need a booster shot, or how does it go?
So usually if you receive those 2 shots, you should be protected for the rest of your life. Every once in a while. So here's the thing. In Korea, the second dose of the vaccine wasn't required until 1997. And so there are some people in their 20s and 30s, late 20s, 30s, who've never received that second dose. And so they are what we call under-vaccinated. And so sometimes I do physical examinations and pre-college examinations for students before they go study abroad.
Yes.
And I will check their titer, in other words, how much immunity they have left against measles. And some people are surprisingly low. They need to be vaccinated before they go off to college.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, can we go over some of the symptoms of measles just in case, we might suspect something?
Right. So, some people say, well, what's the difference between measles and the cold? So measles is a potentially fatal disease. It's very severe. It's very serious. Usually we have a high fever, and then there's a rash that starts at the hairline, so at the top of the head, and it moves down the body all over the body, including the hands and feet. And it's a very dramatic rash, actually. What we call the pathognomonic, or the most characteristic sign of measles, is something called the Koplik spot, which is a whitish, grayish kind of spot on the inside of the mouth, so on the inside of the cheek. And if doctors see that, that's all we need to see to make a diagnosis of measles.
Wow.
Other than fever, fatigue, and this rash, you can also have respiratory tract symptoms like a cough, runny nose, stuffy nose, as well as redness and tearing of the eyes. You can have swollen lymph nodes, diarrhea, vomiting, and abdominal fullness due to a swollen spleen. But the important thing to remember is, as I said, measles can be a potentially fatal disease. It can be more severe in adults. And then there are all these complications that can occur due to measles as well that can be quite debilitating and can actually lead to permanent disability, such as brain damage. You can get blindness. You can have loss of hearing. You have chronic heart disease, chronic kidney disease. And so, we forget about measles, right? I think I've only seen one case of measles in, my professional career.
Wow.
Because the vaccine is so effective.
Right.
And so we forget, but it is a potentially very, very serious disease.
So if you suspect, you yourself or somebody else in your family may have been exposed to measles, let's say you've traveled abroad, which many people have done over the Lunar New Year holiday, what steps should they take? What are the treatment options that are available?
Okay, so the first thing to do is to isolate because, as I said, it's highly contagious. 9 out of 10 people, if they get in contact with someone with measles and they don't have immunity, they will get infected.
Okay.
That's how contagious it is. So the first step is to isolate and then to call your local community health center and let them know, hey, I traveled abroad in a place where, the measles is endemic. I have these symptoms. What should I do? And they will establish a plan for where you should go. And then they will also let the receiving health center know that you're coming so that from the beginning, the staff can have appropriate PPE, so personal protective equipment. You'll go into an isolation ward, and then they can do their testing under the proper protocol. In terms of treatment, so for children, high-dose vitamin A is actually considered a treatment for measles. There's also what we call post-exposure or prophylaxis. So in other words, if you've not had a vaccine before, you can receive a vaccine as soon as you know that you've been exposed to see if you can prevent measles. There's also something called human immunoglobulin, which can be used to treat measles. But otherwise, it's what we call supportive care. In other words, we try to support the organs that might be needing support. So if you have pneumonia because of measles, we'll put you on oxygen. If it looks like there's a secondary bacterial infection, we could put you on antibiotics.
Well, you've mentioned a couple times already how contagious measles can be. So if we are maybe planning to go abroad, especially to areas where it's known to have measles outbreak are known to have happened in that area. How can we protect ourselves while still enjoying our trip abroad?
Well, I mean, so if you're just going to a vacation spot, a resort or someplace, I don't think you necessarily need to, do anything special other than just, be aware of your surroundings, try to avoid crowded places, and if it looks like someone's sick, try to keep your distance as much as you can.
Yes.
But say you're going on a service mission trip or something, to a refugee center or in a country like Yemen. Before you leave, you should get your antibody titers checked.
Okay.
Do a blood test, see where your level of immunity is. And if it's low, then you should get vaccinated before you leave. That's the best way to protect yourself.
And to wrap up our discussion, so if we want to get checked, then we would ask our healthcare provider specifically, can I get checked for my measles immunity? Is that what we ask?
Right. So it's called the antibody titer is what we look for. That's looking for immunity.
All right. Well, thank you so much for answering all of our questions. We do appreciate it, Dr. Tan.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, this was our special interview as we see a resurgence of measles cases in certain parts of the world. And yes, even here in Korea, there are a few cases. So I hope that this interview was helpful for you waivers out there. And remember, if you are experiencing symptoms such as high fever or rash, as she mentioned, from the hairline and it moves down all over your body, yes, you do need to isolate, call your local community health center and be checked out. And please be careful, especially if you've been traveling abroad. This is not to alarm you. It's just to inform you. All right, let's get to a song break. Here it is. This is Billie Jean by Michael Jackson.
Small businesses are the engine of the local economy, and the Korea Broadcast Advertising Corporation, KOBACO, provides financial support for these small businesses to create and broadcast on-air advertisements. Businesses can get up to 9 million won, and applications are open from January 29th to February 22nd at 4 p.m. For details, please visit kobaco.co.kr. We ask for your participation and interest from small business owners.
한국방송광고진흥공사에서는 지역 경제 원동력인 소상공인을 대상으로 방송 광고 제작비와 송출비를 지원하고 있습니다. 최대 900만 원까지 지원 가능하며 신청 기간은 1월 29일부터 2월 22일 오후 4시까지입니다. 자세한 사항은 코바코 홈페이지를 참조하시기 바랍니다. 관심 있는 소상공인 여러분의 많은 참여 바랍니다.
It is time for The Health. We have Melissa in the house. How was your Lunar New Year's?
It was good. I tried sogogi yukjeon for the first time. This is not like a usual thing. We didn't have it for charye, but we just had it like for dinner the night before.
And did you like it?
Oh, man, it was good. My mother-in-law cooked it to be like extra crispy. Oh, so good. So, like, because usually you like hobakjeon, it's like kind of soggy and like, I like it, but you know, it's
okay.
Yeah, nobody's like, hobakjeon.
No one's like standing in line to get the hobakjeon.
Yeah,
right?
but the yukjeon,
so good.
So good.
I'm sure highly popular amongst everybody that was there, right?
Well, my sister-in-law, she was like, I don't like it that it's crispy.
Oh, really?
It's supposed to be soft. And so I told her, I guess we have different tastes. I disagree. I think this is perfect.
And
So-
you know, if you're not making it,
Yeah.
I say, this is just me, not to your sister-in-law. I'm just saying, if you're not actually doing the cooking, just smile, say it's delicious, and thank you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm saying during big holidays, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes,
Be
yes.
gracious, right? And don't
Yeah.
complain. Oh, and yeah, 오겹살 좋아 Waver says, yay, I love yukjeon. I had a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm new to the yukjeon party. I didn't know.
The yukjeon party.
Oh, so good.
Well, what do you have for us for The Health?
Yes, so a few weeks ago, we talked about skin cancer because the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, she announced her diagnosis on social media.
Yes.
However, just last week, we got another announcement from the British royal family that King Charles has some form of cancer. Now, we don't know what kind of cancer he was diagnosed with, but we know this news came as the king was receiving treatment for his prostate and that it is not prostate cancer. That much has been revealed.
Right.
Online commenters, they're kind of speculating maybe bladder cancer. We don't know. He has cancer.
We don't know what kind.
We don't know what kind. But in the meantime, the king of country music, American singer Toby Keith, he passed away last Monday from cancer. Unlike the British monarch, Toby Keith's type of cancer was publicly announced as stomach cancer. He was diagnosed just over 2 years ago, back in the fall of 2021. And despite receiving chemo, radiation, and surgery, the country music star, he passed away. And he was young. He was just 62.
And nowadays, 62 is really, really young.
Yes.
And, well, you know, the thing is, stomach cancer, it's very well known here in Korea. But what about in the U.S., you know, obviously where Toby Keith is from, is it quite common?
Right. Globally, stomach cancer, so this is also known as gastric cancer.
Yes.
It's a huge problem, actually. It's the 5th most common type of cancer in the world, and it is the 3rd most deadly. If you're curious, lung cancer and colon cancer, those are the only types that are more dangerous. And this information comes from the Global Can data.
Okay.
In the United States, about 6 people in every 100,000 will be diagnosed with stomach cancer, like Toby Keith was. However, in Korea, this is a very different story.
Okay, so 6 out of 100,000, that's in America. So in Korea,
6D.
of every 100,000 people will get stomach cancer.
60.
Wow. So according to research in the Journal of Gastric Cancer, with all these researchers from Goyang, Korea, the lead author is Bak Shin-hye, if you want to look it up.
Yes.
11.6% of all cancers in Korea are stomach cancers. So that translates to almost 29,500 people every year getting this terrible news.
And with so many well-known people these days kind of announcing or sharing their cancer diagnoses with the public at large, it seems that, cancer is becoming, I don't want to say more common, or people are at least sharing about it more. But I mean, is that the case? Is it the scenario where there's more cancer, or just people are just becoming more vocal about it?
Luckily, it is the latter.
Okay.
People are just getting more vocal about it. And we do have some good news. So I'm referencing, again, this research from the Center for Gastric Cancer and the National Cancer Center up in Goyang. This is applicable to us in Korea. Even though stomach cancer is the most common cancer still in Korea, it is becoming less common.
Okay.
Researchers found the incidence of gastric cancer has been decreasing about 4.5% annually. Good news and bad news here. Worldwide, those GlobalCan statistics show men are 2.2 times more likely to get stomach cancer than women.
Wow.
But grouping both men's and women's stomach cancer rates together, we see the incidence rate here in South Korea has fallen to about 30 out of every 100,000 people.
Okay.
So earlier, that number of 60 out of 100,000, that's only men's statistics. If we add in the women's, it falls to 30 out of 100,000 people. And more importantly, that Korean research team discovered the mortality rate has decreased to 6.7% as well.
That's definitely good news. But it's not to take away from how serious and common this is, stomach cancer.
Absolutely.
So now, the little bit of good news, it's better chances to beat it now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The survival rate of people in Korea diagnosed with stomach cancer is 77%.
Okay, that's
so
good.
That's very good. It's an increased survival chance of more than 20% since 1999. So very good progress is being made here.
Right. And on a personal note, my maternal grandfather passed away from stomach cancer.
Oh, no.
So ever since then, everybody in our extended family, always, shows up for their 위내시경 and their checkups when they're supposed to, because just in case, if something goes wrong, you want to detect it early, I'm assuming. So
Yes.
Any reason given for this positive trend?
Yes, well, it's like what you said. This is from research published just last fall. It's titled Cluster of Lifestyle Risk Factors for Stomach Cancer and Screening Behaviors Among Korean Adults. It specifically mentioned Korea's preventative care.
Okay.
Yes, so your family is doing the right thing. So the Korean National Cancer Screening Program said the rate of death from gastric cancer, it's reduced 19 to 23% by getting your endoscopy every other year, as we're told to do anyway for those standard health checks.
Yes.
So the Korean National Cancer Screening Program data, it matches other independent research we've been talking about. Preventative care saves lives.
Yes. And, waiting to have a health check and then to be told that, if you have stomach cancer, it sounds really scary. Is there anything we can do to maybe prevent us getting it in the first place?
Yes, absolutely. Great news. Gastric cancer, heavily the result of our own behavior.
Okay.
So if you change your behavior, you can prevent your risk of stomach cancer.
Okay, well, that's kind of good. That it can be prevented. So what are some of the do's and don'ts for us to avoid getting stomach cancer?
Yes, so kind of controversial expression, sitting is the new smoking. Have we heard of that? Yes, in the case of gastric cancer, it is true. So inactivity, being a couch potato, it's the biggest lifestyle risk factor for Korean adults to develop this cancer. Smoking was number 2. So park your car, take the subway. There are a lot of stairs up and down, walk a bit from the station to get where you're going. That's one example of a simple lifestyle swap that you could make to give your stomach a break. The goal here is 10 minutes of moderate exercise a day or 75 minutes a week. Obviously, for smoking, if you're not a smoker,
don't start. And if you are a smoker, do your best to quit as soon as possible.
Okay.
The third biggest behavioral change to make to prevent stomach cancer is what nobody wants to hear: eat less salt.
Everything's so good when it's salty.
Right? I know salt is delicious, but again, these studies, they were specific to Korean adults. We are talking to you listening. We're talking to you.
Okay.
Okay. Lay off the ramyeon. Okay.
the ramyeon.
Lay off the ramyeon.
Okay, what else?
Check your kimchi serving size. I know a lot of people, they want to argue about kimchi and gakdugi and these, but I'm sorry, fermentation process means a lot of salt.
Yes.
So we're not saying never eat salty foods. You know, I myself, I love chips. I'm going to eat a bag of chips, you know, like a couple times a week. Salty foods are delicious, but think about your serving size, right?
okay,
Are
okay.
you eating one serving size per meal, or are you eating like 7, right? So
The way you say it, like 7.
yeah, moderation here, people, moderation.
Okay, so was a salty diet the only food preference researched here?
So that study I mentioned earlier, that cluster of lifestyle risk factors for stomach cancer, they actually looked at many different food choices among Korean adults.
Okay.
Alcohol consumption was included in there, as well as the amount of red meat or highly processed meat that's consumed, because the latter has already been found to be very carcinogenic in other studies. However, it was eating salty foods that increased Korean adults' risk of stomach cancer much more than alcohol or processed meat. But very interesting, this particular study found that if, like, for example, let's say a Korean man is a smoker and that man eats a lot of salty foods and that same man eats a lot of red meat, then he's statistically less likely to get that endoscopy or other stomach cancer screening as recommended in those free health checks by the government. And that is where we have big mistakes and big problems.
Preventative care. So if you belong to that, you know, practice the trifecta of what is it, salty foods and smoking and red meat. Plus you don't get your preventative, you know, screening.
Yes. So basically, this study was like the people with more risk factors are less likely to get the preventative care.
I see.
But you need to get preventative care, right?
Yes.
The doctor is not there to judge you. Your mom, your dad, your friends, they can all do that for you.
But not your doctor.
Not the doctor. The doctor's just there to tell you, are you healthy, not healthy?
Got it.
Yes.
So if it's that year, so it's 2024, so if you're born in an even year, this is your year.
Yes,
right?
it is. It is your year.
Checked out. It is.
Yes.
That's how it goes, right?
Yes.
The odd even years,
even
right?
years, yes. It's
go
an
get checked
even
out.
year. So if you're born even year, go get checked out. It is the easiest and best thing you can do to prevent stomach cancer.
All right. Well, we're going to have to call it a wrap, but thank you for bringing all of this information, invaluable at this point, to make sure that our waivers out there are all healthy out there. But thank you, and we'll check in with you real soon, hopefully.
Yes, I will be here next week.
All right.
I'll be here next week with more.
Yay. Bye, Melissa.
Goodbye.
Every week. Yes, the scheduling is very, very confusing to me. Well, anyhow, I hope you enjoyed our program today. And, you know, it's not to scold you. I had some salty food. I did over the weekend, too. But, you know, everything in moderation. And as Melissa said, you know, getting that daily exercise. Don't be a couch potato. I know it's tempting. It's really cold out there. But, you know, even if you have to walk around for my building, it's B3, right? Not going outdoors, but, you know, even walking inside the parking lot or whatever you have to do to get your exercise on. We're going to have to do it. Take some stairs. I think that's what I'm going to do, at least until it gets a little warmer. All right, that does it for us today. How about this one to take us out? Ooh, Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Classes and no homework. But your teacher preaches class like you're some kind of jerk.